Listen, you know what time it is. It's time for another episode of your favorite new podcast entitled We Hate You, Internet! All right, gather around, man. We back in this thing again, and we're at the place where they love to ask the question. It's an important one. What is your forte? It's Forte Studios here in Houston, Texas, and this is We Hate You, Internet. It's a podcast designed to bring awareness to some of the problematic effects of the internet on our lives. I'm really struggling today. Also, we celebrate the beautiful simplicity of our humanity. I'm Wilfred Hamilton, sitting alongside me. You know what I'm saying? She has a white headband.
Yeah.
It's like a crown of purity or something like that, apparently. You know what I'm saying? You know, so she has a scarf on. It's not that cold.
Pearl earrings, you know.
So now you already know what time. I didn't even see the pearl earrings, but now it's all about sophistication today. Her name is
Clara Aguirre.
Clara Aguirre.
Oh my God.
Is in the building. Oh, goodness, man. Listen, we back in this thing. We hate you, Internet. We rocking. We rolling. Mm-hmm. I mean, the people are with us. You may not have saw last week, but this week we got the shirts again. We want to continue to plug the shirts, man. Not because we're just trying to get the money. But for real, no, it's not about the money.
It's for the platform.
It really is, man. It really is. You know what I mean? Like, all this stuff costs money. So, yeah, money is an important thing. We have lofty goals, and they're going to take capital, right? Mm-hmm. And so, you know, we've had some people buy the shirts. We're grateful for those people. You know what I mean? And they're a part of the movement. I always say, you know, when we're talking to people about the T-shirts and people are purchasing, it's like, yo, it's a dope shirt, dope graphic. You know what I mean? You look tight in it. It feels great. High quality cotton.
The girls love it. You gotta do that.
She has spoken. You know what I'm saying? She has spoken.
I'm just saying. If you wanna, look
girls,
fly.
The girls love it. But beyond all of that, right? Like, it stands for something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It stands for humanity. You know what I mean? And reclaiming and supporting our humanity. You know what I mean? Because I really do believe that our humanity is under attack. Not from a visible foe, and maybe not even intentionally, but with the way that the world is going with all the technology, and it's been happening for the last 100 years. And like innovation is not a bad thing, but I think that with innovation needs to come preservation. They have to be hand in hand. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I always look at the development of humanity and our civilizations should be like a pyramid. You know what I mean? Like you have your base stones and you build upon. Each level is built upon the former, and the structure is supported by the various levels. You know what I mean? You should never forget about how important the first level is. It's the first level that builds you up to get to the top. And so I believe that there's a major disconnect from what it is that makes us human beings, what it means to be a human being, and it's been replaced by the delusions and illusions of a heavily technological world, and it's having effects on the psychology of people. You know what I mean? Like I said, with this rise of mental health issues, you're gonna see a rise. I've talked about this so many times, and like you're gonna see it. If you haven't seen it already, you're gonna see it, and it's sad, but it's true. The rise in suicide, the rise in drug abuse,
depression, anxiety,
all these things because people are trying to escape reality. Because you've been shown this illusion and everybody wants to live in this imaginary world, but it doesn't exist. And when they're faced with the reality of living on the earth in real time, in real life, people can't handle it. And they want to abort. They want to escape. And it's a sad thing because human beings have struggled for so many years to live. And you have a lot of people that don't want to live anymore. They don't want to live in the real world anyway. And it's a sad thing. So anyway, that's what the shirt is about, man. Like it's a nice shirt. It's dope. It's tight. You look good in it. The gays like it. You know what I'm saying? But like, it's an investment in humanity, and that's what this platform is all about. So we'll hit you with that. We thank all those who have supported us up to this point. Thank you all those who have followed us on Instagram. If you're watching, you got an Instagram. Follow us on Instagram if you don't already. We Hate Your Internet on Instagram. Check it out. We got a lot of great content on there. That's dope stuff. Matter of fact, you can find us everywhere on social media. We Hate Your Internet. Give us a follow. We be out here on the streets. If you're on YouTube, you're watching us, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the notification bell. And please, share this joint. It's good information. There's somebody I know you know that could benefit from it. So share the information.
Yeah.
If you're listening, make sure that you rate the show. Hit the 5 stars. That's important. That's 5, not 4. 5. And then make
comments
sure
and share your opinions too, because again, I just love the discourse. So we have to, just make sure you're part of the conversation. Just don't stop sharing, because we respond too. So
she has spoke. Do that. So so thank yous and all that salutations are out the way. Let's get down to business. So today we want to talk about radical trauma, right? And the idea behind the topic, we want to just talk about how trauma can lead way to radicalization. And radicalization is just like extreme ideology or thought processes, you know what I'm saying? Beliefs. And so when you think about trauma, everybody has some type of traumatic experiences in their lives. Nobody is exempt from that. And I think that's one of the things that really unite us as human beings, if we're being honest. Everybody understands some form of trauma. And if you do, then you should be able to relate to any other person that's had trauma, which is everybody else on the planet, right? One of the things you said one time in an episode in the past, you were like, suffering unites us. That's right?
yeah, it's that suffering is universal.
Universal. Okay. Well.
Human suffering, yeah, which essentially could be the same. In that way, we are united. The fact that we all suffer. We all suffer maybe in different ways, but we all suffer.
I've always had the thought process that, we, as human beings, we all share suffering. You know what I mean? Because one person may suffer one way, another person may suffer another, but all of us have to take our part in suffering.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, some people's children pass away. Mine may never pass away, but I got some other trauma that I got to deal with. And like I said, that person will have to deal with that. I took that shot. You see what I'm saying? And you may have something else. You took that shot. So we all take our turn sharing the suffering of the world. That's just a thought process that I
like
have.
that. That's true.
Yeah, but so like I said, but it's through that trauma. People often try to make sense of the trauma they've experienced, make sense of the world they live in, and through that process, it's easy for a person to, especially if the trauma is really extreme, it's really easy for an individual to latch on to radical ideas because of the things they experienced. It's this idea helps me to cope or to make sense of the thing that happened to me, of the injustice that may have happened to me. You see what I'm saying? When you think about that, you think about some of the crazy beliefs that people have in the world, and if you really dig and you start to listen closely, you'll be able to hear the trauma too. You'll hear it. It's like everybody that had some crazy radical idea, genocides, and all the crazy stuff that you've seen in the world. If you dig deep enough, you'll find that the people that are propagating these movements or these ideas or the faces of these movements or whatever, or the people associated, there's trauma in that history. You know what I'm saying? And so I always say, and I'm going to pass it to you because I know you have things to I saw your eyes. This is no laughing matter. I always say, you know what I mean? Like, your problems and the issues and your thoughts and your feelings, you have to take the time to process them. It's not impossible, you know what I mean? To process your hurt, the pain that you've experienced, to process your sadness. Like, people are afraid because of the feelings that are associated with it. but it is so important for you to take the time to go through the stuff that, like, go through your emotions, go through your experiences, think about them, process them, you know what I mean? And then you can move forward. You know, if left unchecked, then it leads you down all these different paths, and all of them lead to bad stuff. You see what I'm saying? So, go ahead, lady. You have something you want to throw on top?
Yeah, I think that was beautifully said. I really like that. And I feel like when I hear that, what resonates the most with me is the fact that, okay, like, human beings, we're not just logical creatures, right? We're not just creatures of reason. We're not.
Pure. Mm-hmm.
We are emotional beings. Mm-hmm. Forgetting that and acting like that's not true, or only some people are emotional, some are not, that is silly. That's really silly. People may hold their emotions differently, but regardless, you are still an emotional being. And being able to recognize that will allow you to really assess where your intentions lie, where what your goals are and why. I think that that's something that is lost a lot. When we think that, oh, well, you know, I'm right for doing what I want to do, you really need to call to question why, or what it is that you're actually feeling. Because I think sometimes the mistakes that people make is burying it, you know, burying those emotions, acting like they don't exist, acting like, okay, it's no biggie, like, yeah, but I'm going to do this about it. I think that is the biggest mistake any human can make, because no matter what you do, no matter where you try to hide, it will always be with you. It will always come up. This is something that we deal with on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. You might not think it's bothering you, but it'll show up. Your family might be able to tell. The people around you might be able to tell. And your actions will tell it too. I think it's important to recognize, even if it's just in an individual basis, right? Like, let's step aside from the big picture, but in an individual basis, we really examine what is truly bothering us and why. You'll be able to source a lot of your frustrations with the world, like figure out why you're frustrated, or what areas of your life, where they're coming from, where in your body it's coming from, what happened to you that makes you feel this way. I think it's important to really remember that, because humans are emotional creatures as well. And we can't just live in a world where we think that, oh, just because I don't acknowledge it, it's not there. That's not true. Couldn't be further from the truth. And I think that's important when processing your trauma or trying to figure out what it is that you're holding. Mm-hmm. So, but
you know, it's powerful. I was just thinking about examples. This is a conversation that I've had with multiple people, and I just want to use it as an example. And we can kind of dig into a few others too. But I think about sexual trauma, and it's and unfortunately, like, sexual trauma is way more common than people even imagine that it is. Mm-hmm. You know, the amount of people that have been exposed to sex in premature, and unfortunately, I can even say unnatural ways. Like, I remember being young and thinking, like, people being molested, that was like something you saw on TV, and it's just like, you know, here and there, like little spots here and there. You know what I mean? And I experienced some stuff when I was young, you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't something that, like, blew me away, you know what I'm saying? But to see and hear that stuff, and then I remember hearing a friend of mine saying, like, you know, man, some stuff happened to him. I was like, wow. And as I got older, I really started to hear a lot, and I started realizing, like, how common this is for people to be like a victim of like sexual trauma, mm-hmm. you know, when they're young, you know, but I'm saying it because any kind of like sexual perversion, and when I mean perversion, I mean like people that have sexual appetites that aren't natural. Yeah. Deviant. That aren't natural. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's when you hear that story. I remember watching a documentary, crazy. This dude was talking about having sex with his animal. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
Tough, right? Crazy. having sex with it was a goat. I think it was a goat. You know what I'm saying? It was crazy. Okay, it's not funny. Look at your face. I'm sorry.
It's just bestiality is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. But we keep it real and we hate your internet. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the things that we do. So like, I'm not even gonna play the game with that. The dude was married, had kids. He was like, him and his wife was whatever. They wasn't kicking, they wasn't getting along. You know what I'm saying? That way, and like. He was like, went outside to the barn or something, and I guess the female goat was in heat or something like that, and then I'm like, I'm gonna spare you. But then like he you know what I'm saying, he looked at it the wrong way, I guess.
Yeah.
And it was on, right? So then it became like a thing. You know what I mean? Then his wife found out, divorced, obviously, like, yo, I'm out taking the kids, and he was just left with the goat, and he's like, the goat was the only one now for me. So he ended up marrying the goat.
Oh my God.
Crazy, right? It is crazy. Okay, I'm sorry, but it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm sorry. It's crazy.
Yeah.
The married part was the part that just got me. I was like, what certificate? You know what I'm saying? I'm tripping. Yeah, exactly. How
allow
that
this, yeah.
But on the real though, then he started telling the story like what it was, and he's like, yo, you know what I'm saying? When he was young, his uncle, he took him out with the animals. Like at the barn, he saw some animals mating. And I'm like, what are they doing? He's like, come on, I'll show you. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, God.
Yeah, exactly, right? And so, like, and that's sad. That really hurt my feelings, right? When I saw that,
That's
I was like,
horrible.
That's sad. You know what I mean? Like, why would you do that to a person?
Mm-hmm.
But that kind of stuff happens. You know what I mean? Like, this is the world we live in. Like, and it's a sad thing. But I'm making that point because you look at this individual and you're like, how could he do such a crazy thing? But then when you listen and you see it's because of trauma, man. Like that trauma, it can radicalize you. You know what I'm saying? Like you are susceptible to radicalization in your thought processes, in your sexuality, whatever it is, because of trauma, unprocessed trauma. You know what I mean?
And we've had this conversation. You've said many times, like, this is not to justify in any way, shape, or form, because it's still criminal. But it's to note that if we don't, again, like you said, if we don't process this, it manifests into something much bigger and monstrous even.
Indeed. You know what I'm saying? Pedophilia, like, same play. You know what I'm saying? Like, most of the time, the far majority of the time, those who are predators, they were once prey. You know what I mean? And that's something we've talked about. Like, people love to demonize the predator. You know what I'm saying? And I get it.
Rightfully so.
I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. You know what I mean? But they don't take the time to understand, like, yo, this person was a victim themselves. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't just wake up one day like, you know what? Like, unprocessed trauma. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what happens when a person doesn't process their trauma properly. It will, like you said, it will manifest itself in like ugly ways. You know what I'm saying? And so, so when we're talking about like radical, and like I said, those are kind of extreme examples.
Yeah.
But it's the same concept. Like you take it down to even smaller levels. A person that's prejudiced, racist, like it's because of some form of trauma, typically, that they hold on to those beliefs. Yeah. Because you can be taught that stuff as a child. It's like, okay, well, black people are monkeys. They not smart. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember hearing like a while back, they were like, oh, you can't have a black quarterback because black people are not smart enough to be quarterback. And then, you know what I'm saying, some cats, brother got in there, you know what I'm saying, behind the center. That was, he changed the game up. And the cat got to be like, once a cat went to the Super Bowl, the cat win a couple of games, you know what I'm saying, and he become college player of the year and all that kind of stuff, you got to be like, you've been taught this. Okay, well, yeah, I guess so, because there are no black quarterbacks, so I guess that's true. Then you see a black quarterback perform well, you're like, well, that's just an outlier, you know what I'm saying? But once you have a couple of cats come in and start breaking records and stuff, you got to be like...
And disprove what you thought.
If you're honest. We talked about this last episode. If you're honest, your opinions and thoughts will be challenged, right? And if you're honest, you better say, well, man, I guess that's not true then. You know what I'm saying? I was tripping. But but in the back of your mind, you always know, like, I'm not sure about that. That don't make sense. Like, that don't make sense if you're honest. But if you've experienced some type of trauma, then that radical thought can make you feel powerful. It'll give you a sense of control and power that you lacked because of some type of traumatic experience. Mm-hmm. And then you get drunk off of it. And that's what happens when people become like, they hold on to these beliefs because they garner a sense of power from it in some shape, form, or fashion. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So whether it's I'm white and I hate black people or any other people, or whether I'm black and I hate white people and any other people, or whether I'm whatever, like if you hate some other person or other group of people, especially if you're talking about a group of people, like if you listen closely, there will always be trauma behind that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because it makes me feel powerful. It gives me a sense of power and control over something. Yeah. When I previously had no power. You know what I'm saying? Yes. And so, like I said, that's why we talk about why it's so important to process your trauma. You know what I'm saying? Because if left unprocessed, you become very susceptible, you know what I mean, to radical ideas and radical beliefs. Yeah. You know what I mean? I remember you told me about, we were talking, you were telling me about Charles Manson. Yes. And the family.
Yes. Beautifully said. But I think that when you don't process your trauma, you of course, you're easy to become radicalized. You're also easy to weaponize, when a person who has dangerous agendas wants to use you. And that I had brought up Charles Manson because Charles Manson was a man that was skillful in this act. He also, like most people who were serial killers and cult leaders, he had a traumatic past. His mother was absent. His father was also absent. He suffered child abuse. So anyways, not to necessarily get into his whole life story, but again, to remember that he came from trauma as well. So he knew how to read people's trauma. Majority of the young women that he recruited to be a part of the Manson family, he knew how to play with their trauma. He knew how to find and locate it and say, yeah, I'm gonna use that. When one of the young ladies that he had recruited was an environmentalist, she saw what was happening in the world, it hurt her, and she so desperately wanted it to change. He convinced her that was his top priority in his life.
Manipulation.
He made her feel like, I want to change the world, I want to save it. There's another girl who loved music, told him, I love music, and it just helps my soul and this and that. And she was like, he's going to be a rock star. He hung around celebrities. People loved him. You can find so many photos of Charles Manson around famous people because he was skillful in his manipulation. And that's something that people need to remember too. It's not like, oh, if you get in a position of power, you will hurt people. No, a person in power will use your trauma to do their bidding. And you need to remember that.
I was just going to say that. I'm going to let you finish. I'm going to let you continue. I was just going to say that because you think, oh, celebrities, like politicians, they're like smart. Every human being on the planet has trauma. You know what I'm saying? So, and if you're a master manipulator, you understand that fact. Yes. Every person on the earth has vulnerabilities. Uh-huh. It's just a matter of finding them and then being able to
knowing how to read it, how
to play them. You know what I'm saying? What buttons to press, how to get them to do. That's it. Unless this person is self-aware. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Then, but you look for targets. When you talk about people that are like child predator rings and stuff like that, they looking for like children to like.
Oh yeah, target.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Or even like prostitution. Ooh, man. Ooh, okay. Yeah, I remember I knew a guy. I'm not gonna say I knew a guy. He was a pimp. Now, it's just by like association that I knew him. He wasn't like my best friend. Like that. I want to get his disclaimer. He was friends with pimps.
Charles Manson was friends with pimps. He wanted to be a pimp. But anyways.
And he was. Anyway. Yes. He just didn't wear the feathers and the hats. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, that's not funny. So this guy. We were associates though. I will say that. You know what I mean? And we were talking. I remember asking, I was like, yo man, like when he made mention of it, like, yeah, man, because I remember he was on the phone and like he was like, and the guy was real like kind of mild-mannered, kind of like chill, like, man, yeah, blah, blah, blah. He was kind of cool. And typically that's how he was. But then I heard him on the phone this one time, he like going hard, like beep, blah, 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 and my MF and blah, blah. He was just going hard, like, and it was the way he was talking, it was just so like nasty and like aggressive, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't even like he was having an argument. It was just like
beating down.
Yeah, like it was just like you stupid. Like he was just like
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, like who was that? Like, man, it's one of my bees. I'm like, yo, I'm like, what? And he was like, yeah, man, I'm a pimp. You know what I mean? I got like 2 girls that's living over in this spot, and like they do this, and like they didn't get my money or whatever. And I was like, you know, you see this stuff in the movies, right? But it was like the cap standing in front of me talking to me, and I was just like, and this guy's not the type of guy to just like trying to run his mouth, like pretend and like like you know playing like you know acting like he's somebody that he's not. That ain't the kind of cat this is. So I knew when he told me, immediately I knew he was telling me the truth, and I was just kind of like, I was so blown away by that. I was just so curious about like why, like why, you know what I'm saying? Why are you doing this? You know what I'm saying? Like I want to know like why, like man, how could you do? Man, my uncle was, and then you know when I kind of got of age, he gave me one. And then, like, that's kind of what it is. That's my family like that. They do this. And I was like, dang, that's crazy, man. Like, you know, man, it is what it is. If you ain't doing it, somebody else going to be doing it. That was the thought process. I was like 18 at the time. So I was just kind of like, dang, that's crazy. You know what I mean? I would never do nothing like that. And I had my own beliefs, but I was just so, I had never talked to another person like that. So I was curious, like, understand. Anyway, we're going to start wrapping this thing up, man. Goodness gracious, look at this time. And so, but he told me, he was like, then he started walking me through the process of like how you find this girl. And I will never forget this conversation. Like the way that he explained it to me, it was just like, it blew me away.
Well, you know, when you think about like animals that hunt, do they go for the strongest animal?
You sure right.
They go for the smallest gazelle. Those lions, when they're trying to hunt prey, they go for the one that stands on the like. That's humans too. When you are hunting, when you are a predator looking for prey, you're gonna go for the one that you can catch. You're not gonna go for the one that is solid in their stance, that is powerful, confident. You're not gonna go for that individual because you won't get them. You won't get them. And I think that's the same thing when it comes to manipulation, when people use your trauma to weaponize you, to radicalize you, and it's important to recognize that.
Crazy. So the dude was like, to your point, you're absolutely right. The dude was like, yo, so you typically find some girl that like ain't got no father, don't have no strong family support, you know what I mean? And then you just start testing to see the limits, you know what I mean? So first you treat them real now, you see that they have like insecurity or they have low self, and I was just the way he was, like I say, he was just breaking it down for me. Like he wasn't bragging about it, he was just telling me, he was just breaking it down. Like they have low self-esteem, probably got some family issues, whatever. You start kind of telling them how pretty they are, blah blah blah. You start building them, you start seeing how they respond if they like really like thirsty or hungry for it, right? And then you start kind of reeling them in.
You build them up to break them down.
Yeah, and then you like, okay, then you start talking how pretty, and then you see if they open to sex, and if they open to sex, then you have sex with them. And then you start trying to see how far they're willing to go with sex. You know what I mean? You start trying to press them to their limits to see how far they're going to go before they say no. And then once then you start treating them nice or whatever, and then you start being mean to them and make it like they fault. It's crazy. Like, it is crazy. You know what I mean? And then they like, everything is just trying to like please you.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, well, you want to do this? Then you introduce, okay, well, then go do this with that guy. And like at that point, they kind of like, but you already groomed them to like, whatever you want me to do, I'll do because I love you. And when you make them feel, because
like
they feel
to
like
prove
trash.
Themselves.
Yeah, they feel like trash. You make them feel like something, so now they want to maintain that. They want that attention. They want your approval. And so then they do it. And then once they do it, it's over. That's it. That's the final straw. And after that, they'll do it whenever you tell them to do it. And like, I was just like, man, that's messed up, man. He's like, yeah, it is messed up. You know what I'm saying? But like, and that was just like, but to the point, and we're going to start wrapping this thing up. Like, it's the trauma that made them susceptible to that. You know what I mean? And trauma unprocessed leads to radical ideology, beliefs, and actions. You know what I'm saying? And so I think we could wrap it up from now. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the episode. It's kind of somber ending, but it's real.
And it's important, like, that it's not always, I think if you can catch this within yourself, if you can take that time to process it and really sit, because it's not easy, but it's possible. You can do it. You can. You're not alone. There are people that are walking that path with you sometimes, you know? And I think that's important to remember, because I think that's sometimes the scariest part, you know, just facing it. But it's a lot better to face it yourself than to be placed in situations like that where you might lose who you are and then never find yourself in that, you know?
Indeed. As a Christian, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that, like, that's the reason why I'm a Christian anyway, is because God teaches you how to process your life, everything, you know what I'm saying? Like your sadness, like your trauma, your joy, like teach you how to be grateful. Then he teaches you how to be content. Then he teaches you how to prosper. Like, and that's what human beings are looking for. That's what they want. You know what I mean? Everybody got trouble. Everybody got problems. Everybody got issues. Everybody got sadness. Everybody got, like, you know, stuff. You know what I'm saying? But you got to deal with the stuff, man. Because if not, it'll deal with you.
Yeah.
You know
and you're worth it. You're worth it. You're worth that time. You're worth that energy. You are worth it.
That's the episode for today, man. God dog it. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get me caught up in here and make my makeup run. No, but thanks for tuning in. We want to ask that if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, notification, share. If you're listening, rate, review. You know what I'm saying? Leave you like you always do. Asking that you stay safe.
Stay blessed.
And please.
Stay human. Oh, I'm sorry.
We out.